Welcome back to Stardom Cinema, running back edition. We're in week 4. Let's go ahead, let's take a look at what running backs to and not to start. I sound like Shakespeare. To start or not to start? That was corny. What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo. Just in case you did not know, so go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying the content and become a bro and subscribe. I do these videos every Wednesday. I also got waiver videos on Tuesday. Among other content, I really like the NFL draft. Should check out some of my draft stuff. But yeah, let's go ahead. Let's dive into it. We're gonna talk about the Thursday night game. It's gonna be the Eagles. It's gonna be the Packers. Should be a fun game. Man, let's talk about Aaron Jones real quick, because Aaron Jones, he got out carried by Jamal Williams, but the game script was basically keep away. They went into super conservative, just trying to tick that clock last week, and he had like 2 more carries than Aaron Jones. I don't think that's a standard. I think that's an irregular, or that's not gonna be a regular Aaron Jones, especially for what you spent on him. I think he's a start even in a tough matchup. Not really. Okay, they're the 5th best when it comes to giving up points to the run back, so it's a tough matchup. But I got Miles Sanders here as a start too, and man, I know the Eagles, they've come out and said they want to get Miles Sanders started. They want to get him touches, and I believe that he just hasn't been very effective. I mean, just looking at his touches coming up to this game, he had 12, 13, and then this past week against Detroit, he had 15 touches. He's not the bell cow, but he is the run back they most often use, so I think that will continue to be the trend. It's going to be, I mean, they face the 24th worst team when it comes to allowing points to the running back. So I think they're going to try to feed him the ball. Jordan Howard's been ineffective. Sit. Darren Sproles hardly sees the ball. Sit. Jamal Williams, unless the game script turns into let's play keep away, he's not going to be really used in this game either. And we're going to go to the Chargers versus the Dolphins. Start them, sit them. I got the starts this week. Austin Eckler, Justin Jackson. Because we saw what Tony Pollard did. Because they got up, so they were like, Pollard, go ahead and run that ball, boy. And the Cowboys did just that. I think Chargers could be in that same sort of territory when it comes to this game. And Miami, they're just not good. They're 32nd when it comes to giving up points to running backs. Sit-ems, I got Kalen Ballage, and I struggled here with Kenyon Drake. I don't like putting Kenyon Drake continually on the sit-em, but he's splitting carries with Ballage. He's just not reliable. He's just not trustful. He ain't loyal. You're not loyal, Drake. You're not loyal. So go ahead, leave him on the bench. I know it's hard to even keep him on a roster, but you could always hold out hope he might get traded. Titans versus the Falcons. Both backup running backs are a sit. Sorry, Dion Lewis. Sorry, Ito Smith. As for the starters, Devontae Freeman, man, I know he went off this past week, but he really struggled those first 2 weeks, and he's facing the 8th best defense when it comes to allowing points to the running back. It's just a tough matchup, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. As for Derrick Henry, he's had no fewer than 15 carries this whole season. I think they're going to continue to feed him the ball. You know what he is. He's not really going to see much work in the pass game, but they're going to feed him the ball. He's hungry. He's starving. They don't want to. They're against no Derrick Henry hungry. No Derrick Henry hungry this week. I'm just saying. Start Derrick Henry. Patriots versus the Bills. This one was a tough one, especially with Sony Michel, man. I know I'm a Sony Michel owner in multiple leagues, and there is panic. There is widespread panic. He got outsnapped, and I mean, he was used more, or Rex Burkhead and Brandon Bolden were used more than Sony Michel. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. You know what? If you're a Sony Michel owner, this is what we get for trusting Bill Belichick. This is what we get. Stupid Bill being Bill, man. But I have him as a sit. It's hard to trust him. I got Rex Burkhead as a sit because this is a tough defense. They're 16th when it comes to giving up points to running backs. So I also got Devin Singletary there as a sit just because he's questionable. And this is actually this is the best defense when it comes to not allowing points to running backs. So he is a sit, and he's even if they do play him, he wasn't seeing a lot of carries as is. James White, though, he's back. He's healthy. I think he's going to eat into a lot of Rex Burkhead's, at least his production when it comes to receiving. So I think he could be a quality start this week. And then Frank Gore, man, this is a tale as old as time, man. Frank Gore, he's a start. It's a tough matchup, but if Buffalo wants to succeed, if they want to pull off the upset here, they're going to need to get the run game going. And it's going to be through Frank Gore. He should see anywhere between 15 to 20 carries this game. Chiefs versus Detroit, and I got a lot of starts this week. It may look that way. Follow me on this. If LaShawn McCoy, if Shady is healthy, if Damian Williams is healthy, they are both starts. Detroit is 28th when it comes to giving up points to running backs. They're good starts. Really, any running back's a good start in this Kansas City offense. But Darrell Williams, he's only a start if those guys can't play, because he saw mucho production when Shady, he retweaked his ankle and he left in the 4th. Damian Williams didn't play, so just keep those guys, keep your eyes out on the injury report, see where those guys are at. But Darrell Williams might be a super good start this week. And then I got Carry-On. They're feeding Carry-On. They are feeding him. No more CJ Anderson, no problem. This man had 20 carries this past week. I know without the touchdown, his production didn't look great, but Kansas City is 23rd against opposing running backs, so a lot of upside in this matchup. Darwin Thompson, he's proved he's like 4th on the depth chart. So if Shady or Damian aren't good to go, it's going to be Darrell that's getting the work there. And then Ty Johnson's virtually a non-factor for Detroit. Raiders versus the Colts, and I got Josh Jacobs as a start. They just need to feed him the ball more. He's been very productive on the ground, and this was key. John Gruden was like, we need to get that boy more targets. No kidding. You need to get your running back who sometimes played slot back in college, who was a very good receiving back in college. You got to get him more targets? Yeah, get on that, Gruden. So if he's true to his word, then this is great. He could have a very, very good matchup here against Indianapolis, who is 26 against opposing running backs. But even if he doesn't get targeted in the passing game, he's still viable as a runner. Marlon Mack's just been on a tear. He has 61 carries on the year through 3 games, and he was beat up and hurt and had to leave early in week 2. So this is ridiculous. The amount of production, the amount of opportunities Marlon Mack is getting, he is a start. The Raiders are 21 against opposing running backs, so yes, he's a start. Naheem Hines is on my sit-em. I just don't trust, he doesn't get enough opportunity. And then Jalen Richard and DeAndre Washington, just in case if you're in a super deep league, these guys are sits, because they're essentially just split in time. I mean, they were using more so Jalen Richard as the pass back, and then DeAndre Washington as the backup running back. So, I don't know. It's kind of wonky there in Oakland. I don't trust either of those guys. Redskins versus the Giants. Start them, sit them. Oh, the only start in this game I got is Chris Thompson. They kind of fed him the ball more in garbage time against the Bears. Tough defense, but he's more he's their pass back, and there's no production coming out of the backfield there in Washington, but they have a good matchup here. The Giants are 26 against opposing running backs. So I like the upside of Thompson over AP. That's why I have AP as a sit. And then Wayne Gallman, man, I know Barkley's out. I know he's out. I just don't trust him. The Redskins, they're 11th against opposing running backs. So for that defense, they allow a lot of points through the air, but you ain't gonna get it on the ground against them. And I mean, just look at his first week numbers. Bowman was he averaged 2.6 yards per carry on 7 carries after Barkley left the game. He's gonna get some carries, but they don't need a running back, especially for this matchup. So if you're one of those guys that picked him up, I would sit him and wait. Browns versus the Ravens. If you checked out my quarterback start him, sit him, you know that the Cleveland offense runs behind Chubb, and I have Chubb as a start in a decently tough matchup. This is the Ravens, they have the 16th best offense when it comes to allowing points. So it's a decent start. Chubb is going to get all of the carries, and he's seen quite a bit of targets too out of the backfield. So that's encouraging. Mark Ingram, after that performance last week, I mean, we already knew the Ravens were a run-heavy team, but man, he put out a banger. Very encouraging. I have Gus Edwards, however, as a sit this week. I know that he had a pretty productive week last week, but he only saw 8 touches last week, and that's kind of his ceiling. That was the most touches he saw all year, so I just don't like the amount of opportunity that Gus Edwards doesn't get. Panthers versus the Texans. Christian McCaffrey, he's a start. Even if the Texans, they have a pretty decent run defense, he's a start. He's a threat everywhere on the field. If he ain't getting it done on the ground, then he'll probably get it done through the air. And there's no other running back of relevance on that squad. As for the Texans, though, I got Duke Johnson as a sit. Last week, he only saw 4 touches, which was 2 carries and 2 receptions. His team doesn't really even pass to the running back anyway. So, yeah, he's a sit. Even if this is a plus matchup, Panthers, they're 20th when it comes to giving up points to the running back. Carlos Hyde, though, he saw only 10 touches last week, and that was kind of in a shootout with the Chargers. But he is, without a doubt, their lead back there. He will see a bulk of the work, and this is a plus matchup, so I think he's good. I think he's good as a flex option. Buccaneers versus the Rams, and it looks like the Malcolm Brown dream. It's been over for a few weeks, since I guess week 1, but it's over. Sean McVay has come out and said he wants to utilize Gurley more and more effectively, and so I have him as a start. I mean, the Bucs, they're second when it comes to allowing points to the running back, but it's Todd Gurley. You spent a high draft pick on him. Go ahead and start him. He's going to see a majority of the workload. As for the running backs there at Tampa Bay, I want no part of this backfield. Ronald Jones, just this week, he had 1 more carry than Peyton Barber. He was very productive, but they stopped using him in the second half of that game against the Giants. So I want no part of that backfield. It's just a hot mess. Don't make me. I don't want to. Seahawks versus the Cardinals. Man, Chris Carson owners, man. I'm one. I can preach. It's a bit troublesome. It's a bit worrisome. He's got 3 fumbles, so fumbles in 3 consecutive weeks, and his longest run of the year is 23 yards. He's not really being utilized in the pass game like they said he would, and I mean, even when he was, there wasn't great production from there. But he has a good matchup here. The Cardinals, yes, they are 13th. They are 13th when it comes to points against opposing running backs, but that's because they're so vulnerable through the air. Believe me, this team can be ran on. My question is, man, if Chris Carson can't get it done, if Rashad Penny is healthy, you will see a bulk of the carries. So I got both these guys as a start this week. Keep them again, monitor Penny's health, but I'm hoping Chris Carson can get back on track. That is a bit worrisome for me. David Johnson, I love the way he's being utilized in this offense, and he's a start. He is a start. Chase Edmonds, though, he's basically non-existent. So even if you have him on your roster, there's better players out there. What are you doing? Vikings versus the Bears. Only start I have in this game is the engine of Minnesota's offense, Dalvin Cook. He is a start in a tough matchup, but like I said, the offense goes through him, so he's going to see plenty of opportunity. I know Alexander Madison had a pretty good game last week, but that was kind of in garbage time, so it's basically irrelevant. David Montgomery, I have him as a sit. So this is a tough defense they're facing. This is the 10th best when it comes to giving up points to the running back. I do think that they're going to have to pass the ball to stay in this game. I think they will abandon the run quick if they get behind. And in the fourth quarter, if the game's within 7, he's only seen 2 carries. So he's not utilized. He is not utilized if it is a close game, especially near the end of the game. Tariq Cohen, I was high on him. He looked like he'd be used a lot as a receiver especially in that opening game where he had 8 receptions. Since then, he's had 4 receptions in 2 games, so he's a sit. Jaguars versus the Broncos. Leonard Fournette. 3, 2, 1. Jaguars versus the Broncos. Leonard Fournette is a start. The Broncos are 24th when it comes to giving up points to opposing running backs, and he's seen a lot of volume. Just take a look at this. He's had in 13 carries, 15 carries, 15 carries, 4 receptions, 6 receptions. They use him a lot, so I don't think anything changes. He'll be used a lot in this game. This one was kind of tough between Phillip Lindsay and Royce Freeman. Both had a lot of success last week in their matchup against the Packers, but I just don't like it. The Jaguars, they're 11th against opposing running backs, and if I had to pick one, I'm going to pick the one I think with a higher upside in this game, and I think that's Phillip Lindsay. If you are a Royce Freeman owner and you want to start him, I don't blame you. It's really kind of, I don't know, they're splitting carries. It's a backfield by committee there. So you go ahead and pick. Saints versus the Cowboys. This is a tough matchup for running backs, as Dallas, they're ninth at giving up points to opposing running backs. The Saints, they're 7th. So I would really only trust your first round picks, Ezekiel Elliott and Alvin Kamara. Tony Pollard, he looked real good last week, but that was against the Dolphins. That was basically in garbage time where it's like, hey, let the backups get some play. Latavius Murray, he only had 2 rushes last week. He's a non-factor in this offense. So, yeah, just start your first rounders, boys. And the Monday night game, Cincinnati versus Pittsburgh. Neither team is good at stopping the run. They're both teams 30th, 31st. So, after Mixon, he came out. He had a great game. You know what? I was wrong about him last week. My bad. It happens. You just kind of play probability. He'd been playing bad, so probably he would play bad. But he's got a really good matchup this week. As for James Conner, I know he's sucked. He has sucked so bad this season, but it is a good matchup. They're committed to running the football. He's got a really good offensive line ahead of him. So I say go ahead and start him, especially I don't trust Mason Rudolph, and I don't think the Steelers do either. The backups for this game, go ahead and send them. They've been irrelevant all year, and they will continue to be irrelevant, I think, in this game. That's it for the video. Hopefully I was able to help out on some tough decisions you're going to have to make this week. But until next time, my friends, you be easy. Later.